The Chelsea Flower Show, seen by many as the start of the cabbie calendar. But will it be the summer workload I'm looking for? Let's get started. On my usual drive through St John's Wood, the apps are going mental. Now, I don't like doing a lot of app work because each app will take their own cut or commission from the work. I hold my nerve and eventually get one right near St John's Wood Station. It's only a short job, they just want to go down to Abbey Lodge, just a bit further down on Park Road. Super easy run them straight down, drop them off, bosh. Now, after dropping, a driver who's also looking for a job lets me out of Abbey Lodge. So, cabbie etiquette is I've got to pull over, let him go in front, and then he then becomes the lead cab. From here, I just go to Marylebone High Street, as that's a real nice hive of activity. And get this job that wants to go down to Victoria. Now, the top of Marylebone High Street is closed, so I wiggle off on some of these back streets here. But from here, I can pick up the rest of Marylebone High Street, or I opt for Welbeck Street. Just means I don't get caught up in the pedestrians, maybe crossing Marylebone High Street. Right into Bentinck Street and left into Mandeville Place. What I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be going forward into James Street. This always flows super nicely and drops you neatly into the top of Mayfair. From there, I can get around Grosvenor Square and I have various exits. I basically just want to get out onto Park Lane. Traffic's looking pretty heavy up ahead on Upper Grosvenor Street, which I would normally use to get onto Park Lane. So I just cut through a little bit of South Audley Street, come out onto Mount Street so I can get my left onto Park Lane. But I can see the problem here. Park Lane is incredibly busy. It might be the weather, it might be that there's a few events going on in London. Maybe this will all come a bit clearer later on. Eventually managed to crawl all the way through Park Lane, and as we go around Hyde Park Corner, we can see people dropping off and loading up for the Buckingham Palace garden party. It just means there's lots of nice, prime, pristine events that people would likely get cabs to and from, meaning that we're likely to have some good work levels. I drop off on Buckingham Palace Road just before the hole in the wall entrance for Victoria Station. Now, from here, I'm thinking I've just got to head to Nightsbridge. There's quite a lot of traffic in the Wilton Place area, and I could join the Berkeley Hotel as there's no cabs on the rank. But I persevere and I get my left out onto Knightsbridge. In these wet weather conditions, Harrods rank might be churning out cabs. First approach is trying to get on the front door of Harrods. So I persevere, I try getting myself onto the side door, which, as there's a space available, is just what I do. Now, some of my taxi groups and apps are saying that London is mental, everyone wants a taxi. But, as you can see in this part of town, the Harrods rank wasn't exactly moving. I sit on the side door here a little bit longer than I'd like to. Eventually, I get a couple who wish to go to Le Eto Cafe. Now, I ask for which one, as there's a couple of them, I believe, and he just points down the road and just says Leto, so I assume he means the one just a bit further down Brompton Road near the Brompton Oratory. So leaving the side door gives me a lot more options than if I was on the back door. I can get a right into Walton Street, and then from here I'm going to use Ovington Gardens because that cuts out the lights if I'd gone on Beecham Place. Left on a Brompton Road and drop them right there. Super short job, but it's what you get when the weather turns like this. People will do shorter distances because they don't really want to get stuck in the rain. Taking me just 3 minutes for this £6.60 job. Now, knowing that the Chelsea Flower Show is on, I'm thinking I'm going to head to the Chelsea area because the King's Road, even if they're not actually at the Chelsea Flower Show, is quite a nice hive of activity for people to be going shopping and doing cool things. And yes, on the King's Road, right by Anderson Street, I pick up this job and they wish to go to Lexham Gardens. Now, Lexham Gardens is quite easy to remember because that's quite close to the Bupa Cromwell Hospital, just off of Marlowe's Road. And instantly, I can see the run. We're just going to be doing the continuation of WASP. Walpole, Anderson, Sloane and Pelham. And in that acronym is actually the name of two former Prime Ministers. Robert Walpole, the first Prime Minister of Great Britain. And lastly, Pelham Street. You have Henry Pelham, who was the third British Prime Minister. That brings us out to the South Kensington Junction. From here, I'll make my way left onto the Cromwell Road, past the Natural History Museum, quite a bit of traffic on the Cromwell Road, but we eventually get our right into Marlowe's Road, and of this section of Lexham Gardens, they're just off to the left. Set them down on the right, bosh.
Just clicked over to 5 o'clock, and I picked them up probably around about 1:30. So almost half an hour to do that job. Just the most simplest of runs. Get out on the Cromwell Road, right Marlowe's there. And this is the thing with traffic. People just always assume that cab drivers love traffic, but it just affects our efficiency of how quickly we can get to the next job. Also, the job zaps your energy so much more if there's a lot of traffic. In terms of bumper to bumper traffic, you're kind of just edging along, brake. So even if you're trying to have like a conversation with the passenger, that just feels a lot more laboured and more stressful as well. Even once I've dropped off this job now, it's being really careful of where I'm going to go to get my next job. As we saw earlier, like the whole Chelsea area was just ramo. So you've got to be really strategic. You just want to get to the first place you can pick up a job. There's apparently loads of work out here, but it's just getting there. It's just enough things to pull cabs in lots of different directions. So yesterday I had someone come out of the flower show, they went down to Kew. So if there's lots of cabs doing those kind of jobs, it means there's less cabs in town. Demand is then of course higher. Do we surge price? Of course not. We're linked to the meter. So good time for us cab drivers, but it's just getting around all the traffic.
Naturally, my progression back in is going to be towards the Harrods area. And very luckily, I just turn left onto the Cromwell Road here and get a job straight away. Nicely enough, they wish to go to Harrods. It's always good if you can really minimise that amount of dead time before you get back to an area where you can pick up. So this job works perfectly for me. Straight in, along the Cromwell Road. This shift is going very well so far, but I wonder if we can get any work from the Chelsea Flower Show or that Buckingham Palace garden party we saw earlier. Well, stay tuned to find out. As I drop off, I'm very quick to get an on and off job on the side door of Harrods. Now this is exacerbated by the wet weather. These people just want to go to Harvey Nichols. So I take my usual route, go around Hans Crescent, come out of Hans Street onto Sloane Street. But I didn't know at the time of this shift that Cadogan Place was shut. So you're forced down to Pont Street, the underside of Cadogan Square, and then you have to chase it back up. So this looks absolutely awful on the map, and because of the various road closures in this Knightsbridge area, it's a lot of traffic getting through. Really painful job this one, especially for how short they want to go. And the best way I can get them there is using Lowndes Square. This is probably the better bit here. I can get them just before the no entry, and they're quite close to a door, so they're not going to get too wet going from the cab to the door. Now, whilst we're waiting for the weather to return to normal, it's time to feel a little bit more summery, and that is the fruity flavours from Y-Food. The super delicious strawberry, mango and peach. In terms of the calorie content, macronutrients and vitamin profile, these are exactly the same as Y-Food's ready to drink meals. So these are great to have in the cab or keep in the fridge at home. I know I'm getting exactly 500 calories from every single one of these bottles, 34 grams of protein, and I can slot it anywhere in my day. And it's perfect for me right now because I know I'm going to be doing some filming in this segment here for a couple of hours, followed by a bit of editing. And then that will keep me tied over until my next meal. Now, if you use my exclusive discount code of taxi-YouTube or the link in the description down below, you can get 10% off site-wide. But whilst it's summer, I'd highly recommend trying their fruity editions. So they do a 6-pack where you get 2 strawberry, 2 mango and 2 peach. Cheers, Y-Food. And now let's see if the weather will get any better in this shift. Now, Harvey Nichols wasn't a bad spot to drop off because the concierge from the Park Tower comes running out to me. He's just got a guest who wishes to go to the Novikov, just over into Mayfair. Sweet. These little jobs just in and around Knightsbridge over to Mayfair are exactly what I want. You can clearly see though that Grosvenor Crescent is proper full up. So knowing this, I go around Belgrave Square and I'm going to pick one of the streets to exit out onto. I pick Wilton Street because as I'm going down, I can see all the other ones are full, like Chapel Street and so forth. And this works quite well as a taxi driver because when you pull left onto Grosvenor Place, you have the bus lane to run up there. So it can be quite heavy on Grosvenor Place for normal traffic, but providing you can get out onto it quick enough, it's often a bit quicker to do this rather than sitting in Grosvenor Crescent. This traffic's probably because of the garden party, lots of people dropping off and picking up on Hyde Park Corner. So to set the Novick off, we just carry along Piccadilly Underpass, get a left into Stratton Street, go past the Mayfair Hotel, right into Berkeley Street and set down on the right. The job takes me 12 minutes to drop them at the Novick. And straight away I'm on and off, and these guests out the Novick just want to go to Harrods. It's that shuttle run of Mayfair to Harrods, on and off. I mean, this is quite a good record. I wonder how many jobs I can do consecutively on the bounce like this. This is a little bit easier to get back to Harrods because this time round we can use the underpass. And I'm in luck because as I pull up to Harrods, you can see there is a big bundle of people and no cabs outside of Harrods. Now, dropping off on ranks can usually be seen as a bit of a no-no because what it will do is it will block other cab drivers' access to the rank. This rank takes about 6 taxis. I can clearly see there's no taxis on the rank and there's no taxis available for hire behind me. So I drop at the back-ish of the rank. It still allows for any potential drivers who are looking for a job to join it in front of me, but using a bit of common sense here. These people want Arlington House, and Arlington House because it's named after Arlington Street, which is the street down by the Ritz Hotel. Now leaving this, I know that Brompton Road heading up to Scotch Corner is very heavy with traffic. So I usually use Trevor Square to skip a lot of this, because it means I can get into the bus lane on Nightsbridge right by the barracks. Once we're through the Knightsbridge Scotch Corner junction, we go straight through the Piccadilly Underpass, Piccadilly, right in St James's Street, right Bennett Street and left into Arlington Street for Arlington House. Now, as I leave Arlington Street, I'm hailed down yet again, this time from a concierge at the Ritz. Pretty much on and off again. This must be some kind of a record. Love it. This is the time to be a cab driver. There's no better feeling when you're busy like this because you're in such a flow state. You're just constantly thinking about, right, how do I get there? How do I get off that job? How do I get onto there as soon as possible? And if the traffic's flowing like this, it's one of the best feelings. These people just want to go to Portman Square. So from here, I know exactly that I can run it straight through Mayfair. I'm going to go up Dover Street, left into Hay Hill, right Berkeley Street, and around Berkeley Square. Get ourselves a left into Mount Street and bear right into Carlos Place, left into Grosvenor Square, and then we get ourselves the right into Park Street. Park Street sets you up perfectly for Portman Square. The traffic can be a little bit hit and miss on Park Street, but because of where they specifically want on Portman Square, this is probably going to be my best way of approaching it. It flows super well, just taking me 12 minutes to complete this job. I'm feeling confident in this area. I've got lots of options of where I could head. Selfridges, some of the other hotels in this area, Marylebone High Street. It's a nice place to be. I come down Great Cumberland Place and I get a hail just outside of that Cumberland Hotel. Now they're after the Harley Street clinic on Weymouth Street. Now in theory, I could just go all the way along Wigmore Street, just get a left into Wimpole Street, right New Cavendish, bosh. But at this time of day, going through Portman Square, Wigmore Street, there's a lot of traffic lights along the way. So I'm feeling I'm going to cut it up a little bit here. Go up Great Cumberland Place, do a right at Bryanston Square, getting us onto George Street. Now the bit in front of us is blocked off, so we're forced left up Gloucester Place. But then I can get a right into Blandford Street, crossing over Baker Street, and I'm going to use Airbrook Street. This time of day, pedestrianised, zebra crossing, bit of traffic. It could be a little bit longer going up Marylebone High Street. So Airbrook Street followed by the right into Moxon Street just cuts this out neatly. Left Marylebone High Street, right Weymouth Street, and bosh, I can set them down there on the right. It takes me just 7 minutes to do this job, and I'm super lucky to get an on and off once again. She's just going from this clinic over to the Portland Hospital. It's a straight run. Weymouth Street. I've eventually got to get up onto Devonshire Street because if I carry on Weymouth Street, I'll be forced southbound down Great Portland Street. So I'm going to use Hallam Street just to pull me up onto the correct street, which is Devonshire Street, and that way that allows me the left into Great Portland Street so I can get the hospital. Set down on left, quick job, bish, bash, bosh, this is great. I turn around, I head back in, and straight away on Great Portland Street, I'm hailed again. Now, it's no longer these little short jobs back to back. This gent just wants to go down to Clapham. Nice. Now, it's a fairly standard run. I've kind of already got my rough route, but I have a little bit of an extra think because of the Chelsea Flower Show in mind. There's going to be a lot of people leaving the Chelsea Flower Show, so as a result, I need to kind of think about what that's going to do to traffic in that area. Because I'm going to be going over Chelsea Bridge, I'm obviously very close to the Royal Hospital where the flower show is taking place. James Street, right into Brook Street, round Grosvenor Square, down Park Lane. And what I want to do is I want to avoid like the Sloane Square Chelsea area at all costs, because I think that's where a lot of the traffic's going to be congregating for it. So I go all the way down Grosvenor Place, get the right into Buckingham Palace Road. So thinking ahead of what other traffic's going to be doing, if they want to be picking up people from the Bullring Gate at the Chelsea Flower Show, they can't be coming in from the Chelsea Bridge Road because they can't turn right onto Chelsea Embankment. They've either got to go forward into it or they've got to come from some other way. I'm quite confident that Chelsea Bridge Road is going to be fine for my setup to Chelsea Bridge. And this plays out perfectly. Left Chelsea Bridge Road, nice and clear for Chelsea Bridge. Forward Queenstown Road, comply by Queenstown Circus, leave that by Queenstown Road. Left into Silverthorne Road, right into North Street, left Old Town. Right onto Clapham Common, left into Elms Road, right Abbeville Road, and there we are at Hambolt Road.
That run a lot better than I thought it would, considering Chelsea Flower Show going on. But you could see whole way down here, the Goring Hotel, Rubens by the Palace Hotel, all the door people trying to get cabs. I think even on the side of the Chelsea Flower Show by Chelsea Bridge Road, like Ebury Bridge Road where I was there, I could see some of the stewards there, I think, were eagerly trying to look for cabs. But yeah, surprisingly, that ran just kind of normal. Yeah, it's good. This is kind of what we want.
So, dropping off at 7:30, I've got to realistically think, where am I going to get my next job from? It's either going to be the Chelsea area or the Vauxhall area. And knowing that the Chelsea Flower Show is on, I'm going to go back the way that I came. So I make my way back to Chelsea Bridge and I can get the left into Chelsea Embankment. Astonishingly, the right into the Bullring Gate is allowed. So I'm able to get on there, join this very quickly moving rank and pick up these passengers here. Now they're after High Lever Road in North Kensington. And as soon as I leave the rank, you're forced left out onto the Chelsea Embankment. And because of this, I'm thinking, how am I going to run this? Sloane Street and then under the park and up? And I have a little bit of a think about it, and I realise probably the best way is just use the big roads. All the way along the Chelsea Embankment, Cheney Walk, Cremorne Road, Ashburnham Road, Gunter Grove, and all the way up Finborough Road, Warwick Road, because you can just bang it all the way straight up. Holland Road, and depending where in North Kensington they are, like if they're off North Pole Road, then you might want to run it up the West Cross route. But I'm thinking for where they are on High Lever Road, I'm going to go around the Holland Park roundabout, Holland Park Avenue, left Royal Crescent, and left up St Anne's Villas, St Anne's Road, into Bramley Road, left Oxford Gardens, right High Lever Road. Nice, that's quite a substantial job and I'm not too far out of the centre zone. Now, it certainly won't be an on and off job here because of the residential area I find myself in. But realistically, maybe Portobello Road or Westbourne Grove might be the first place I can get a job. And my luck is in. Until this lady hailing me down realises that someone else that she's with has actually requested a taxi on the app, which is the taxi you see already pulled over. So I continue on. Fortunately enough, I don't have to go too far and I pick up these people from the bus stop here on Westbourne Grove. They're after De Vere Gardens. The biggest challenge of being a taxi driver is really just thinking out where you are in relation to where you need to go. For instance, we've got a park separating from where I am and De Vere Gardens, so it's knowing what's going to be the best option here. Do you go through it or do you go around it? And of course, you have to have this mental calculation based upon the traffic and the circumstances of the day. But because of where we are, we're quite far west. I know I'm going to be going round the park. I'm going to be using Kensington Church Street and then dropping down into Kensington High Street to get De Vere Gardens. Managed to knock this job out super quick in just under 10 minutes. I ride all the way back in the Piccadilly area direction and surprisingly don't get a sniff of anything. It's really dried up, that 8:30 to 9 o'clock kind of slack period, and nothing's going. Nothing from the hotels, no app jobs, no one on the street. So perfect time now to have a little bit of dinner. I opt for Chipotle.
That's the mad thing about some of the work in the cab, is that it's 9:15 now, and I didn't even really realise that, you know, once I've had a bit of dinner, I'm pretty much through the slack period. Most of the theatres are going to start kicking out soon, so this is a good time to get back to work. Will I get one north? Is the golden question. I did yesterday, but I didn't last week. It seemed like all of last week. Yeah, I was getting a job over there. I always ended up down in Fulham, down in the west, down in the southwest. So hopefully my luck's going to be in tonight that I end up somewhere reasonably north.
Leaving Chipotle, I get hailed instantly. These ladies here wish to go to Frognall Lane in Hampstead. Now, had this been a few hours later, this could be a perfect going home job for me. But I've still got a few more hours that I can potentially knock out on this shift. Basically, I've got to get to like Finchley Road area. You could go up through Hampstead, but sticking to big, quick roads, I'm thinking Charing Cross Road, Tottenham Court Road, bit of Hampstead Road. So that brings you out onto Albany Street, into Regent's Park, around the top of Regent's Park, up Avenue Road, around Swiss Cottage, and then bang it up the Finchley Road right into Frognall Lane. Gosh.
It's not quite home time yet. Yes, it's north, but it's like 20 to 10. So like we've still got the West End bit to do. And then a few more jobs after that, hopefully. So it's not worth me to go home just yet. So yeah, we've got to head back in.
Too often I head in like the St John's Wood, Baker Street area. And at this time of night, I don't think it's going to yield that much results. Sometimes you can get lucky with a gig finishing at the Roundhouse, maybe the odd reveller in Camden, and failing that, I could maybe go to St Pancras. I go past the Roundhouse, but I'm not lucky there, unfortunately. And as I come down, I think, I could try the Euston rank. Because it's a fairly new layout and how you get to it, it's taken a little while for cab drivers to kind of get it into their repertoire. You need, a bit of habit and repetition to kind of work out how and when to access these new ranks. If you want to learn more about the Euston Station, I made a video over here about the evolution of the Euston taxi rank over the years, so check that out. And this pays off for me because as I come in, there's only one other taxi sat there. Nice. Don't have to wait for too long before I get this gentleman who wishes to go to the President Hotel. It's only a short run, but it's quite fun in how we set it. So, you leave the Euston rank onto the Euston Road, go right into Upper Woburn Place, forward Tavistock Square, forward Woburn Place. But we don't want to go all the way down to Russell Square. Yes, you could drop the President Hotel on Russell Square, but it's not that professional that you have to then walk the rest of the way. So get yourself a left into Coram Street, named after Thomas Coram of the Children's Foundling Hospital, right into Herbrand Street. You go over Bernard Street and carry on into Herbrand Street, and that sets you up neatly for the forecourt outside the President Hotel. It's this kind of two-way system, so you go in and you can set down on the right. Nice. How efficient's that? I do love the way that certain forecourts are laid out in the taxi. It's quite a nice, satisfying feeling, kind of pulling in and leaving a forecourt. It's, I don't know, that's the weird geek in me maybe. Now, dropping in at just around 10:10, I'm very nearly in the West End for the West End Burst. It's probably one of the most exciting times of day when you have a mass onslaught of people leaving all the West End theatres, desperately looking for taxis. What can we get here? I head down the Kingsway and I get this lady who wishes to go to Waterloo. There is nothing better than getting like a really central train station at this time of night, because I can very quickly drop them there and then I can get back to the West End and hopefully there'll still be more people there. So from the Kingsway we just go round the Aldwych, left into Lancaster Place and forward over Waterloo Bridge. Arguably the best free view in all of London. Comply by the Tennyson Way roundabout, leave by York Road and left into this weird little bit here to drop her by the Waterloo Steps. So 20 past 10, back to the Aldwych, and I get this job that wishes to go to Liverpool Street. Probably given my last job in the West End, so head it out. I go around the Aldwych, left into the Strand, past the Royal Courts of Justice and forward into Fleet Street. From here I'm going to get a left into Fetter Lane, forward into New Fetter Lane, and I'm going to be opting to come in via London Wall. So to get there, I'm going to get ourselves a right into Holborn Viaduct, forward into Newgate Street past the Old Bailey, up into Little Britain, comply by the Rotunda and leave by London Wall. Now rather than going forward into Wormwood Street, I'm going to do a left here into Old Broad Street. Late at night, after 7 o'clock, you can get right into the station and drop here. It's awesome because it means you haven't got to get stuck in that rubbish on Bishopsgate, you haven't got to go through a couple more sets of lights, you're right here and the passenger is even closer to the station, and best of all, you're set right up for the rank. If there's no one there, as it is in this case, I'm away again. There's a couple of people waiting desperately for a taxi. Vaughan Way. You can never forget this one because I just think of Johnny Vaughan, Johnny Vaughan Way. To run it, we're just going to get ourselves out onto Bishopsgate. You're forced right out of Liverpool Street anyway. We'll do a left into Houndsditch. I can't think of the exact name of the streets, but you go around like that Aldgate gyratory area and you have to do this little turn around the back of the Ibis, I believe it is, and here it is there. Brings you out to Commercial Street, so you can go forward down into Lehman Street, forward Dock Street, forward Vaughan Way and set it down there. Nice. Now I'm most certainly not going to get an on-off job here at Wapping, but I do just want to get one in the correct direction of home and we'll call it a night. What's it going to be? Hopefully not a late one. Coming back in from East Smithfield, I get this hand here near Tower Hill, Minories area. These people want the Corinthia Hotel. Nice. Okay, it's pulling me back into centre, but maybe I can get one after that pulls me north. You can see how cab driving can be a bit addictive when it's busy like this. I can't go around Mansell Street and back on myself because you can't turn right onto Tower Hill. So I'm going to go through Trinity Square, using this bit of Hammett Street to cut off the lights here at Minories. Hammett, you can remember, obviously like Kirk Hammett, right? And then that comes onto America Street and left on the crosswalk. Cooper's Row, come out via Trinity Square and that pulls you out onto Bywood Street, setting you up for Lower Thames Street and Upper Thames Street. But disaster strikes in that they've shut the Blackfriars Underpass and Upper Thames Street, so we're forced over Southwark Bridge. Now they've already let me know they've come from the London Bridge area. They'd actually walked across Tower Bridge to try and find a taxi. We're now going back south and I let them know about the fact that we're going to have to go back over another bridge to get them to the Corinthia. I think they're completely bewildered by this point because they're American tourists and, most people don't really pay attention to the geography of the area when they visit London. But I briefed them on this because I don't want them to think that I'm just going over bridges just for the fun of it. Now my first reaction is, how am I going to get myself back north of the river? Satisfying the map, Westminster Bridge would probably be the best, it would look the neatest, but you have to go around Parliament Square and up Whitehall to eventually get the Corinthia. I'm thinking if I go over Waterloo Bridge, I can bang it left over the Strand, down Whitehall and then drop them in that way. I mean, even though I pre-warned them of the fact we're going to be going back over another bridge, as we go over Waterloo Bridge, they say, oh, we're going over a bridge? I'm like, well, yeah, we're on the south. We've got to get you back north to get you to the Corinthia, right? We eventually get them there. I come in through like the official entrance. I could have dropped Northumberland Avenue. There's not a lot in it, really. Bit more than expected, but we're all good. Hefty diversion over Southwark Bridge. Sometimes happens that. There's no warning of it. I could just see them putting the signage out. They just do it late at night. Unfortunately, there wasn't anything on our WhatsApp groups, so I've now parked up, managed to put a note in there, and hopefully that will save some other cab drivers that were doing a
a similar journey to that. Trouble is, when you get to that point, you can turn around, but you've got to pretty much end up going back to where I picked those people up from to then take the route through the city. So there's no other route other than to really just following it over Southwark. Luckily, Tuesday, not much traffic. 11:15, it's now do or die. I am very central. I'm thinking this is going to be my last one. What's going to happen from here? Let's find out.
I'm going to go up Charing Cross Road because my hypothesis is that people who are generally like good Londoners, if they want to get a taxi home, they'll stand on the correct street that's going to line them up for where they want to go. I get to Trafalgar Square, I pick up another tourist group who wish to go to the Thistle Trafalgar Square. Now before I let them in, I let them know that the Thistle Trafalgar Square is just on the other side of Trafalgar Square. And they're like, yeah, we know, but we just can't be bothered to walk at this hour. Fine, we bang it back round, come underneath Trafalgar Square, King Charles I Island, Cockspur Street, Pall Mall East, Whitcomb Street, and then drop them on the right there. Beautiful, small little job. With a tip, it rounds up to a tenner. Now, let's see if we can get this final one home. Using Orange Street, I get myself back onto Charing Cross Road. I get held down by these ladies who just say they want the Doubletree. I say, which one? She says, Hilton. Okay, maybe it's the Doubletree Hilton on Angel. That would be lovely. I ask for a little bit more, and they say, Imperial Wharf. Okay, we're going southwest. The deciding factor for me is that Admiralty Arch has been shut westbound for ages. So I'm thinking I'm just going to go over the top, left Shaftesbury, and continue it that way. You know, by this time, 11:30 at night in the West End, a lot of the traffic's cleared out, so I can get that left into Shaftesbury Avenue quite easily. You've got to come down Haymarket, right Charles II Street, right Regent Street, St James's. The left turn into Piccadilly is nice and clear, and then from there we're just going to run it all the way straight out. Big roads. Piccadilly Underpass, Knightsbridge, bear left into Brompton Road, bear that left into that bit of Fulham Road, left Old Church Street, right into Chelsea Embankment, going to go through the harbour, Lots Road, Chelsea Harbour Avenue, get through the taxi barrier, leave by Townmead Road, comply by the roundabout, leave by Imperial Road, and then set them down on the right here at the hotel. I head back through central London with my light on, but sadly get nothing. If you've made it this far in the video, please do a massive favour and hit the subscribe button. That helps out massively. If you've enjoyed this, you might want to see some more shift videos over here.